What's going on, y'all? This is Traveling Man. Do my next YouTube video. I wanted to go ahead and talk about this after the smoke's cleared a little bit. Of course, for those who've been living under a rock, Bill Cosby has been found guilty of drugging and sexually assaulting a woman 14 years ago on April 26th of 2018. And like I said, I'm gonna get real here with the. I'm gonna try to keep it to a minimum, but I have to get real here as far as the language and things like that. But the moral of the story, once again, is I'm sorry to say it: the white man giveth, the white man taketh away. Now, for the record, Bill Cosby. Now, as far as what he did or didn't do, hey, I'm not in his bedroom. I can't say that. But like I said, I mean, some of the stuff looks shaky, but I do believe a lot of these women are lying too. As far as Andrea Constand, I do feel sorry for him in that regard because injustice is injustice. As far as this case goes, I mean, a lot of these women were just lying. Period. I mean, Andrea Constand. I mean, people just take Bill Cosby out of the equation. Just use some common sense. This woman talk about she allegedly was raped, but she kept going back to Bill Cosby again after getting raped. After you're raped, you keep going back and get raped again several times. That doesn't make sense. Um, After you get raped, you keep calling men again, but you don't call the police. And like I said, I know sometimes women are hesitant to call the police after something like that traumatic has happened, but didn't call the police, but kept calling him. And that was the kicker. That's why the last trial that they had was a mistrial because she had to testify in court that after the one of the alleged rapes happened, she called Bill Cosby back to get tickets to his next show. Okay, that makes no sense at all. I mean, come on now. Like I said, I'm not trying to minimize anything. I've I work in the field where I have to deal with rape victims every day, and that's a inhumane thing to do with someone. But this woman here, no. Come on now. You don't like I said, you don't go to police, but you call him to get tickets to your next show. That makes absolutely no sense. So that's just being realistic. But once again, Mr. Cosby thought that he was different from other black people. He said there was no injustice as long as you pulled your pants up. But surprise, nigga. I mean, Bill. I mean, you're in the same system that, you know, well, all people are in that aren't white, but especially all black people. You're in the same. We live in a system called white supremacy. Welcome to the club, and you've known that, but you try to deny yourself that you weren't in it until this happened. So Bill just realized today that he's in the same system we're all in. So that it is what it is. And I want to say this too to my brother. I'm a big fan of his videos. Like I do these videos every now and again. I don't have a following he does. I'm not trying to piggyback off it. I'm just bringing this up as a point. Mr. Superboy 222. Like I said, I love your videos, man. Keep doing it. I'm a big fan. I'm subscribed to you and everything. But when it comes to Bill, I think sometimes you're kind of overlooking things that go on because you're a really intelligent brother, man. You make great videos, very insightful, but it's a little bit kind of easier than you're thinking. It is. As far as Bill Cosby and a lot of things that I'm not sure whether you know or don't know, but I'm gonna kind of bring some of those up as to why he's getting such a backlash from the black community. I'm not really going to say even a backlash per se, but he's kind of somewhat getting a dose of his own medicine. Now, as far as Hannibal Buress, Hannibal Buress was what a B grade comedian as it is. His joke didn't get Bill into this trouble. I mean, yeah, yeah, they'll use that. Oh, it's not us. It's Hannibal Buress that made the joke. I mean, Hannibal Buress has no power at all. And as far as historically, they've always used other black people to take uh other black people down. That's historically something that happened. But Hannibal Buress has no power. They were waiting for this for years. That they just use that as the green light. It's almost like the police coming to your house to barricade the door down, and if the door, I mean, they're going to break the door down anyway. But if the door's unlocked, I guess that makes it a little bit easier. But Hannibal Buress has no power. He made one joke on stage and he tried to make oh, this comedian brought that up. They had these documents and everything lined up. They knew the stuff was um they knew these allegations were in motion a long time ago, but they just used that as an excuse. But Hannibal Buress has no power whatsoever. Because shoot, if that's the case, well shoot, they've known Rome Polanski admitted to drugging and raping a girl in back in 1975 or 72. He admitted to that, but they just can't find a way to lock him up. He was allowed to leave the country. We talk about a comedian and blew Bill Cosby up, but somebody like Roman Polanski admitted to drugging and raping a teenage girl, and they just can't find a way to lock him up. He never got the treatment that Cosby's getting. I mean, so what does that say? So Hannibal Buress has no power, but they just use that as, oh yeah, they try to use him as a pawn. We're not racist. It really was Hannibal Buress. Hannibal Buress has no power whatsoever. No black people do. Bill Cosby thought he had power, and look what's happening to him. Now as far as other people, being upset with Cosby, I kind of understand that to a degree. As far as D.L. Hughley goes, D.L. Hughley has a legitimate bone to pick with Bill because, like I said before, Bill Cosby is always that'll be my conclusion of everything. But Bill Cosby has always had an issue with comedians that curse, and I get it, man. If that's not your style, I get it. But at the end of the day, like, look, I mean, hey, these guys are feeding their family. Just because they don't do the kind of comedy that you do doesn't mean they should just get thrown under the bus. D.L. Hughley has a legitimate gripe to pick with Bill because a lot of people don't know Bill Cosby tried to get Def Comedy Jam off the air, and that's a fact. I remember hearing about that because I'm in my 30s. I did my age out there, but I remember when Def Comedy Jam first came on. I remember hearing rumblings of that, but now looking forward, like I saw a documentary, I think on E of Martin Lawrence, like Bill Cosby was like in the newspapers bashing Def Jam. He was trying to get Def Jam off the air. That's a fact. Now look at all the careers that Def Jam made. Like I said, Martin Lawrence, D.L. Hughley, Dave Chappelle, Steve Harvey, the late great Bernie Mac, Cedric the Entertainer, Chris Tucker. All these people, it became a platform to them, and these cats came around and blew up, became superstars. I mean, if you have a problem with it, where was Bill's platform to help these guys out? Russell Simmons made that platform and did what he did, and look at how these guys' careers have gone. These guys were able to go out there and have a career and take care of their families. You can't get mad at that. But Bill Cosby tried to get that taken off the air. Now could you imagine what would have become some of these people's lives without that platform? I know D.L. Hughley was in a gang. Come on now, which way do you want it? Which way does Bill want it? Do you want it they curse on stage and make money for their family? You want them putting a pistol to your head and saying give me the money? Which one is it? Hey, if they curse on stage, if you don't like it, don't watch it. But you don't. That's what I'm saying. Bill got off cold, man. Like, dude, I mean, he really went hard with that. And like I said, it's only other black comedians because Bill was the HNIC. He was special because he's one of the niggas that the white folks picked. Let's just keep it real. You know what I mean? He thought he was different from the rest of us. Like I said, Andrew Dice Clay curses on stage. No flack from Cosby. George Carlin curses on stage. Nothing from Cosby. Steve Martin used to curse on stage. Nothing from Cosby. Only other black people. What is that? Now that's straight up getting off code. It's okay for you to bash the black comedians and even the black comedians coming up, just starting out. That's okay, but you don't say anything to the white comedians that do the same thing. I mean, come on now. And please understand this here. Like the story goes, amen. The white man giveth, the white man taketh away. Bill doesn't understand. Like the if they made you, they can break you. These white folks made you. And like you have to give Bill his credit, man. Brilliant comedian, brilliant guy, smart guy, very talented, a legend. You one of the best to ever do it. You can't take that away from him. Period. No matter what you think, you can't take that away from him. But Bill, they allowed you. These white folks allowed you to get to the point that you're at. The key word is allowed. You weren't just. I mean, you did the kind of you listened to what they said and they cherry picked you. It wasn't something you did a lot of hard work and you gotta everybody tips your hat off to that. But dude, like no, they picked you. They allowed you to get to the point that you're at. And like I said, the key word is allowed. They make you, they can break you. You did the clean cut comedy that they liked. You didn't curse, which is good. I much respect to that. But you did stuff about playing in the snow and going to school and stuff like that was non-controversial that they loved. Hey, good for you. You made your money. Made a lot of money that way. Good for you. You kind of stayed away from the black stuff. Let's keep it funky. Because a lot of people bring up, yeah, Bill was conscious. He made that Black History program. What it's talking about is Bill Cosby did like a little short documentary called it was in 1968 called Black History Lost, Stolen, or Strayed. Talking about Black history. Very, very insightful. But how long did that last? How long was he doing that? These white folks like, look, we don't believe Bill, man. Give him some money and some white women, he'll stop that. And he sure did. He got they gave him more money and money to party and have drugs with these white women, and that's all he cared about. We're good to go. That's all he needs. And he stopped with the pro black stuff. He stopped with the stuff about knowledge of self. Because they got away with it. They don't. We'll dangle that carrot in front of his face, and we'll really see what's going on. Now Richard Pryor, on the other hand, they didn't make him. They couldn't break him. Because Richard Pryor, he didn't go through that system. Now, initially he did. A lot of people that don't know, Richard Pryor, when he first started out, he tried to be like Cosby because Cosby crossed over and was selling millions of albums, clean cut and, not cursing and stuff like that. And Richard Pryor started that initially. And Richard Pryor was all over. He was on Ed Sullivan, The Tonight Show. I mean, he was all over. And then, he had a nervous breakdown in 1967. He was playing Vegas too, and he just knew it wasn't right. He's like, what the F am I doing here? He walked off stage, and people thought that his career was over. Like, dude, you made it to Vegas, and you blow that up? It's like you're finished. But he went underground and kind of didn't really kind of come back up to about 71. And he was going around, and then, of course, we know he made a couple hours before. Of course, the big one was That Nigga's Crazy in 1974. Because Richard Pryor talked about, it's not even about just talking about the real experience. Now, Richard Pryor is a genius. Richard Pryor is the reason people love Richard so much because he was himself. He was himself. He gave everybody the heart and the idea to just speak about what you know. Hey man, Richard Pryor grew up in a whorehouse. I mean, this is what it is. His mom was a prostitute. His dad was a pimp. He grew up around prostitutes, gamblers, drug dealers, drug users. He grew up around street people, so he talked about that. And some people might like the vulgar stuff. He talked about having, sex and drugs and stuff like that. I mean, okay, I get it. People might look at that as being obnoxious, but it's real life. But he also talked about political issues. He talked about racism in his routines. And that's why, of course, as a result, he made 10 times less money than Cosby made. They don't like that. But Richard Pryor became so prolific because he had the streets on his side. He had the underground audiences on his side. He didn't go through he didn't go through their system. Like I said, That Nigga's Crazy in 1974, that sold 1 million copies independently. I think that came out on Stax Records, an independent label. And back in those days, for those of you that are old enough to know, it was they didn't have advisory stickers back then. They would have said this album's X-rated. So basically what you had to do is go up to the counter and ask for the album, and they had to pull it from behind the counter, and you bought it. So this is an album that's not even on the main record shelf. It sells 1 million copies, and it wins Grammy of the year for comedy in 1975. That's what made them pay attention. Like, whoa, wait a minute. Now this guy didn't go through our system, and he's selling 1 million records and winning out Grammy of the year. Now we need to come to him. They came to they came to Richard Pryor. Whereas Bill came to them, they came to Richard because, hey, dude, you got something. If you didn't come through our system and you having this much success, had Richard Pryor been able to, deal with his demons, he probably would have been one of the most powerful people in Hollywood. He just couldn't shake his demons, man. Too many personal issues, unfortunately. But he went through his own system, and before you know it, he was one of the top writers in different shows like Sanford and Son, and wrote Blazing Saddles, and by '83, Pryor had signed a 4-film $40 billion deal. No other black person had done that at that time. Not even Cosby. But they were like, look, this dude, he did this kind of, not traditionally through our system. He did it by, speaking his own mind. He spoke, like I said, he spoke about racial topics. He spoke about things that weren't comfortable. and they came to him. And real talk, a lot of people don't know this, and this is what I'm talking about. Is they couldn't break him. I can't remember what year it was, but they had something. It was like the Gay Pride Awards or something like that, and different people they go into a detail. There's a documentary called Omit the Logic about Richard. They go in detail about it, and Richard Pryor went up there to the Gay Awards, and he stepped on stage, and he's it's not funny, but I mean Richard Pryor is just too real. He's one of the realest dudes that ever stepped on the planet. He was like, we talk about I came for human rights. I thought there would be some human beings here. And he said we talk about, I'm paraphrasing, but he said y'all talk about gay rights when niggas were rioting and going through our justice. Y'all didn't say nothing about that. So y'all can kiss my rich happy black. That's what Richard Pryor said in front of thousands of people. You know what I'm saying? And Paul Mooney said he was there. He said, dude, it got quiet because he was telling the truth. He said, where were you? I mean, let's keep it real. Where was the gay community at when black people were dealing with injustice? That's what he said is live on stage, and they booed him, but he said, hey, it is what it is. He kept his audience because he was too real. Now, Bill Cosby would have slapped Jesus before he ever did something like that. But these are the two different people. This is one brother that they made, and one brother that made it his own way. You understand what I'm saying? Now, I don't want to get too far off the track, but I think you see my point in that regards. Now, as far as the whole pound cake speech, the thing about that is it was kind of condescending. But the way Bill was talking, he was talking like he wasn't black. Like, you need to get it together. You need to do this. But like I said, and it's okay to go there, but let's talk about white supremacy too if you want to go there. Don't act like it's just one-sided. You know what I'm saying? You talk about, they need to pull their pants up and selling drugs, but you don't talk about 50% of the black men in Philadelphia, the city where you're from, being unemployed. How there's no job, dude. I got family in Philadelphia. They're like, no, I used to live in Philly. Dude, there's no jobs for these kids. That's why there's so much violence. Talk about that. And it almost seemed like Bill had Stockholm syndrome. That's where it kind of came out of left field. Like, wait a minute, that white dude just killed your son and went to court and said I shot the nigger. You tried to buy NBC twice. He tried to buy NBC twice the first time, and they told him no. He came back again, and they said black nigga no. You don't get to own nothing. You know what I'm saying? But the first thing you do is attack black people. Now, you should have, right then and there, he should have been on these people's behinds. Like, look, no, I saved NBC. I made them billions of dollars. Now, when I want to buy something, they have a problem with it. You need to step forward with that. You need to step forward with, hey, man, this racism needs to stop. My son got murdered. You know what I mean? But you didn't say nothing about that. It's really strange. Like, niggas have Stockholm syndrome. The first thing you do when you get put on your back by white people is to turn on black people. Really strange. And the thing is, it should be we have this problem. We're all black. We're all in the same system, which he sees now. He pulled his pants up, and look what they're doing to him. His son pulled his pants up, and that dude still blew his brains all over the street, didn't he? Let's keep it funky. So I mean, that's not going to save. We need to talk about white supremacy and how to change that. Because you rarely hear white people getting off cold talking about stuff that other white people to do. You never hear white people saying white people need to get off these opioids or stop doing these school shootings, do you? They stay on code, But Bill Cosby thought he was different. And the thing that really kind of bothered me, it was the pound cake speech. Then it was something that came up a few years later. I can't find the article, but I remember this happening. A lady, Bill was having another one of these, basically black bashing conferences or whatever he was doing. And this lady, truly, from the heart, this lady said something that really made a lot of sense. She said, look, Mr. Cosby, there's a problem that we're having in society as to where our kids, meaning black kids, they can do something, but somebody white can do the exact same thing, and they don't get charged, or they you know what I'm saying, they get probation, or they don't get charged with something. Our kids are getting years for the same crime. What do we do about that? He said, well, don't commit crimes then. You see what I'm saying? Once that happened, we were like, Bill, let's back up off you. What you're saying is injustice doesn't matter. That's just injustice. Like the same thing that's happened to you now. Injustice is happening. You don't care about injustice as long as it's not you, because you're one of the safe niggas. You're one of the niggas that figured it out. So it's okay if somebody else doesn't have justice. Somebody just can be falsely accused of something. You're okay with that as long as it's not you. Well, it's you now, ain't it? Like I said, man, just a lot of black folks don't get it. I mean, I don't understand. I guess I don't know. When you get to a certain level, I guess you really think that you're special, not knowing you're in the same system that all other black people are in. And a lot of people don't know Bill Cosby's Boule. Bill Cosby's in the Boule. If the people don't know about the Boule, the black bourgeoisie. I think Martin Luther King was in the Boule. Trying to think of who else was in this. Quite a few famous people, but it's basically the black bourgeoisie. It's a black secret society, so to speak. And you go back to the history on that stuff. Now, once again, I'm okay with other black people building together, to advance our people. That's good, but it should be, hey, let's build something for us, and let's build something for the other people behind us. Maybe people that aren't as fortunate as us, but a lot of them stick to each other and they, become big niggas smoking big cigars. Like, look at those niggas over there. You know what I mean? Looking down on other black people. But as you can see, nobody cares. I mean, the black bourgeoisie don't mean nothing to the white to the average white person. As you can see, that means nothing. Like I said, because I'm wondering what these dudes thought. Like I said, there's a book called All Kind of People about Lawrence Orders Grant. This is the brother that was in the Boule. Really good book too. Definitely check it out. But I mean, the book's talking about basically how he was a sellout, how he got a nose job to try to be white, how his grandma would say not go out in the sun, because you get too black anyway. How basically his folks, kind of told him to not be around other black people. Pretty much. So a lot of that Boule mentality is in their mind, because a lot of these Boule people in the early days, they had things. My pops told me about this, like that movie School Days. He's like, that's like a real kind of thing. How the brown paper bag test, you had to be as light, you couldn't be darker than a brown paper bag for you to be in certain of these Boule programs. Or they had something called the Blue Vein Society, where you had to see the blue veins in your arm to be able to get into certain programs and things like that. Like my dad told me, one of the programs he was in school, he's like, one of the guys just told him, like, man, you're not light skinned, so they're not gonna let you in. So that's a lot of, what I'm saying. Some makes it. I'm okay if you're doing something productive, but as far as the whole selling out thing and the colorism thing, I'm not with that. But hey, Boule or not, hey, the white folks still bend them over, ain't they? So I'm kind of wondering, like what was going on in the Cosby household. And God bless his daughters. They don't have nothing to do with this. But his daughters came out, and I think they played the interview on the Breakfast Club. Like, this is not right. Our dad is being lynched. It's not right. Like, dude, like that's what they've been doing to niggas. Like, where have you been at? You must have cut class. I mean, where have you been at? That's what they've been doing that's what they've been doing since they got us off them boats. Shoot, at least since Jack Johnson. Who else do you need? Jack Johnson, OJ, Jackie Robinson, Tiger Woods, Michael Jackson, Mike Tyson. They all come for us. We're all in the same system. I mean, it almost seems like there was the only thing black about the Cosbys was the back of the refrigerator. Yeah, that's what they do. They've been doing this to us. But Mr. Cosby thought he was different. He thought he was one of the niggas that figured it out. As you can see, he didn't. And I get it. Like, if people say, okay, he did a lot. Like I said, he did do a lot for people. He sent money for schools. But was his kind of money $500 million or more? He could have changed the whole infrastructure. He really could have changed the whole infrastructure. Because when you get in that position, you need to holler at some lawyers. You need to holler at some politicians. You need to holler at some people on the police station. You understand what I'm saying? You start rubbing shoulders with them. You really need to, for long term, you need to go on from the outside in. Hey, start bumping heads with some of these district attorneys, some of these judges. Start campaigning and getting proper judges in. So nobody will have to deal with injustice. Because as you see, as much as you dog black folks out, who's throwing you under the bus? White people. You know what I'm saying? What a white jury, white judge, white lawyers. They had that one. They had that one bed wench that on the prosecuting. But like I said, she's just that's just a pawn. She didn't have any power. They can kick her to the curb like nothing. So. You're supposed to be getting other people in place, giving money to these judges and things, so when your name comes up, hey, like, hey, Bill, hey, man, we want to prosecute Mr. Cosby. We're good on that. Hey, man, Bill gave me $1 million check last year for my campaign. He wrote a $200,000 check. But on the inside, you're supposed to kind of maybe play the spook who sat by the door. Okay, I'm Mr. Clean, Mr. Cosby, but behind the scenes, hey, let's start screening some of these judges so they don't have injustice for certain people and pick and choose. Let's try to have the best reigns for justice for everybody. Let's make sure everybody gets justice. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, you know what I'm saying? Try to, trying to, get some people behind the scenes to get things going. And with $500 million, he could have done this. He had 20 years to do this. But, he thought he was just, one of the niggas. And, hey, I'm just, one of the special Negroes. Hey, I got enough money, so, the rest of you niggas can hang, and I'll be okay because I got money for lawyers. And all the money's for lawyers, and they bleed them dry. Bill Cosby's easy spending millions of dollars a week in lawyer fees. Easily. He's got no more. He doesn't really have money coming in like that anymore. You know what I mean? And now they're probably going to take him to civil trial, so they're trying to bleed him dry, take all his money. So now, see, the thing about it is, with these other people like Harvey Weinstein and Tom Brokaw and all these other people, and I'm gonna get more into that in a bit. They're getting dogged publicly, but they still have their money still intact. They're still millionaires. They get to walk off into the sunset with their money. Bill isn't. They're taking all this dude's money. And there was an article. Now, I'm not saying whether this article is true, but the fact that this is even mentioned shows that there's something going on. They said that Bill owns a brownstone home in Manhattan. Up now those, Manhattan is like, as far as real estate, as far as the inner city of New York is like the most expensive real estate. Like those brownstone homes are going for like upwards of $30 million. And Bill was trying to get, according to the article, Bill was trying to get a $30 million loan to be able to keep the brownstone, because like I said, it's time to liquidate assets. These lawyer fees are hitting them bad. I mean, the article might not be true, but the fact that that's even a question shows that there's something wrong, because that wouldn't even be if people said this 10 years ago. People were like, oh, I know that's a lie. Bill's worth $500 million. We know that's a lie. So. Yeah, Bill said he didn't care about injustice, so this is happening to him now. Like I said, if you notice, with Tom Brokaw and Harvey Weinstein, Matt Lauer, Brett Ratner, nobody's talking about bringing them to trial. Gloria Allred isn't going to bring them to trial. Think about it, this whole Me Too movement started about Harvey Weinstein, and some ladies accused him of rape, some ladies accused him of sexual harassment and assault and groping him and stuff. But we're not going to bring him to court. But they charge you with stuff you did allegedly 14 years ago and 20 and 30 years ago. You know what I mean? So I wonder why. It couldn't be because they're white, could it? Oh yeah, but you still, that doesn't matter. You said that, we need to stop blaming white people. There's no racism anymore. Okay, well, look at what you're dealing with. And like I said, the sad thing is, like I said, because I don't want to see injustice happen to anybody, but the thing is, your dynamic is to change that, and you have $500 million in 20 years to do that. That's the thing. Let me break it down here. Let's break it down some on a street level. The reason why people don't know, like going on the street level, like the reason why it took them so long to get, like, let's go with like drug dealers like Frank Lucas and like Frank Lucas and like Pablo Escobar and Whitey Bulger and John Gotti, people like that. The thing is, they put their money in the streets. That's why they kind of went somewhat below the radar for a period of time. They put their money in the streets. They bought cops off. They knew, even though what they were doing was illegal, they bought cops off. They bought judges off. They bought lawyers off. District attorneys off. Police stations off. Hey man, how much you getting paid a year? $20,000, $30,000, man. Here's $100,000. Just look the other way. You know what I'm saying? If you see one of my people selling, you know what I mean, just look the other way. They knew to get their money. They knew how to put their money in the streets. That's why it was hard to, kind of bust them. Like, you saw in the movie American Gangster. That's true, because he was like, at the end of the movie when the cop busted him, and Frank decided to cooperate to get, with the case. He said, You know that a lot of your fellow police officers are going down if we do this, right? Because he was paying them. And the guy was like, "Hey, man, if they're doing something illegal, they're not my brothers. They're not a part of what I'm trying to do." Pablo Escobar, and of course that was another country, but still, his money was in the streets. That's why they couldn't get. Of course, he would kill and stuff like that anyway. But his when they needed a new hospital, like he bought lawyers, judges, and things like that. When they needed a new hospital, who put the money up for a hospital? So when it was time to see who could testify, they were like, "Nah, we're cool on that. Hey, man, you say what you want. We've been asking y'all for a new hospital here for 10 years. This man came and built it, so we ain't got nothing to say to y'all." Bill didn't do that. He was just too busy, busting out on the white women he wanted, and I guess using drugs. That was his main goal in life, it seemed like. And Bill realizes, like, Bill, you're not special. Like I said, they chose you. You know what I mean? They allowed you to make this money. They allowed you to get into this position. The key word is allowed. Like I said, it doesn't seem right because a lot of these women that have come out of lawyers, are liars. I mean, they've been proven to be liars. Like I said, it's hard for me to believe 40 women went to this grown man's hotel room, to just play Monopoly. Yeah, I went to. Why would you go to a married man's hotel room? 40 women, and none of them really came out and said, "You know what? I did have intentions of having sex with him, and then this happened." It's all, yeah, he lured me to his room, and it's like, yeah, I didn't know what was going to happen. Like, all of you, come on now. But it doesn't matter. It's like I'm white and I say so. That's it. That's the only justification we need. So Bill, they never cared about Bill. They never cared about dude. You made money for them. Like I said before, dude. Let's stop getting into this thing to where, they paid you because they like you so much. No, Bill, you made them billions of dollars. That's why they paid you. Like I said, Denzel said in Fences, he's like, dude, Mr. Rand doesn't give me my money because they like me. He gives me because he owes me. They owed you, Bill. You saved NBC and you saved network television. People don't realize how big of a phenomenon the Cosby Show was, not just for black people as far as showing a black family together, but just. I'll put it this way: if you look at every sitcom that came on after the Cosby Show, they've all, from the Cosby Show now, have taken some elements of the Cosby Show. Right? Look at that. Look at every show that's come out throughout the years. I don't have time to pick them all, but you think about it. All the shows that have taken something from the Cosby Show. That's how influential it was, and it saved NBC because, you kind of need something else to get people watching. In the early 80s, it was kind of like a weird time in television. Everything kind of stopped. Like the hit shows from, the 50s, 60s, 70s, those shows had kind of already faded out. So they needed something else, like a jolt in the arm, to not only get people watching NBC, to get people watching, TV again, period, as far as sitcoms. It's, So when the Cosby Show came, it was such a phenomenon. It was like, well, dang, I'm watching the Cosby Show, and while I'm watching it, let's watch, these other shows that are on now. So kind of, and it helped NBC. They built their way up with their money, and then were able to get other shows on. Because like I said, the shows of the past had really kind of faded out. The I Love Lucy's and the Dark Shadows and the Bewitched and the Leave It to Beavers, all these shows. That's why Chris Rock made that joke. I haven't seen, people that mad since they canceled MASH. MASH was what it was about, the Japanese War. MASH was on for like 10 years. That war didn't even last that long, but they kept the show going on because it was such a hit. That show had faded out. But like I said, you got to have a jolt in the arm to get people back watching. It's almost like how they said, and it's true, how they said the Thriller album saved the music industry because, like I said, the groups of the Beatles and groups like that had kind of pretty much already quit or was having a slow period. They needed a jolt in the arm to get people back into buying records. And when Thriller hit, not only did did people come to buy Thriller while they were in there, okay, let me check out this album and this album. It got people back into the stores. So Bill Cosby saved that, but and then look what they did to him. He was just a nigga that made the money, but a nigga nonetheless. They didn't care about you, Bill. And I'm gonna end it off like this. I don't want to beat the Don horse too far. I know this video is kind of long, but the biggest thing is the whole finger pointing thing. Because like I said, I already talked about how I feel about the whole rape thing. But the thing is, the fact is, like, dude, you can't point the finger at somebody when your lifestyle isn't right either. None of us are perfect. I get it. There's a lot of temptation things and like that, especially in the entertainment industry. I get it. You know, the whole, and that was what was going on in the 70s and 80s. A lot of drugs, a lot of sex and things like that. I get it. The thing is, you can't be pointing your fingers if your lifestyle is foul. And the fact is, because a lot of people didn't, Bill painted himself out to be this just, perfect Mother Teresa type person, and that wasn't true. He's cheated on his wife literally hundreds and not thousands of times, and that's just a fact. And that's not nothing to. Now that's something you can take home to the bank. That's not nothing to debate about. He's cheated on his wife pretty much just the moment they've been married, hundreds of times, if not thousands. That's a fact. And the thing is, dude, your lifestyle's kind of foul. So if that's the case, just kind of, dude, just be in the cut, man. Enjoy your money. Don't get out here finger pointing, because it makes you look. And that's why people are done with them, man. It's like people look at you like a hypocrite. D.L. Hughley is the devil for cursing on stage, but you cheat on your wife hundreds of times, and that's okay because you're Bill. You can't be held to the same standard as everybody else because you're Bill and you're one of the niggas that made it. Your lifestyle is foul, especially for the image you're trying to portray. So just kind of be in the cut, man. Enjoy your money, and just, hey, man, just be on the low with it, man. Come on, you can't do that, man. And as you're seeing what's happening now, so just stay below the radar if your lifestyle is foul. You would have these bras in different hotels. You want to, and like I said, I mean, where do you think if he, Bill Cosby, he admitted to what 05 that that he was putting, had drugs on him and stuff. Where do you think he got that from? He got that when he went to Hollywood. They brought you into their club, for that. But see what you see what happened. You know what a lot of stuff he did was foul. So just, man, stay below the radar, man. Unfortunately, as far as black people go, hey, man, we don't. I mean, like I said, I don't agree with kicking a man while he's down. We don't have to kick Bill Cosby while he's down. He's drowning on his own. Now, but unfortunately, because he got off cold, we got to let him drown. Unfortunately, like I said, we're not the ones. It's the white folks that are drowning them. I mean, we don't have nothing to do with this. As you can see, we have no power. They have all the power, and they're using their power to take his money back and ruin him, which is what they've already done. So as far as black people go, hey, man, this is a new day. Like I said, if this is an apartment, the house niggas got to get evicted. So this is what it's got to be. Like I said, we got to let Bill Cosby drown. We got to show an example that if you throw us under the bus, we're not going to be there to support you. That's the way it's got to be. Unfortunately, I mean, like I said, Bill Cosby, man, I hate to see him go out like this because, like I said, the man he's done a lot of things. He's done a lot of work. He worked hard to attain the success he had. He deserves that. But like I said, we have to, when you get off cold, because I mean, the other people, sure, let's go back to the OJ trial. His lawyers, OJ's lawyers, his white lawyers, they pretty much have kind of been banned since that trial. White folks, whether you believe he did it or not, white folks got on here. They got off cold. You help this nigga win, you're off cold, so you're done with us. Same thing with Bill. He got off cold, so we got to let him drown. Like I said, we're not the ones. We don't need to push him down. We don't need to put cement shoes on his legs. We got to let him drown. Like I said, this is a new day. We're starting to wake up. We can't just let people sell out and then come back to us when they want. You sell out, you're finished. That's the way it's got to be. So that's just the way it is. All right, y'all. I know this is kind of long, but I had to, just bring my points up with, Bill Cosby. I hope nobody got offended, but this is just the real deal. Okay, y'all have a good one. Take care. Talk to you soon.